Hello. Today we're going to talk about how to take your single page that you made, your index page, and turn it into 5 pages to make a whole website. I had mentioned that I was going to include on this video how to upload it to the server, but I think I'm going to wait on that till next week where I can show everybody in class how to upload it. So this week we'll just focus on making the varying pages. So the page that I use as an example is this one here. And if I go into the split view here, we can see the code. And I did demonstrate this in class, but I was asked to make a video of this portion again just to help you guys out. So that's no problem. That's what I'm doing here. So the first thing that I told you was that before you use this index page and save it to make all the other pages, in other words, you're using this like a template. But before you do that, you have to make sure that all of your links here are linked up to pages. That way, when you save it and you use it to make the other pages, all those links will work on all the pages. Now, what that means is you have to link these pages to pages that don't exist yet. And you can do that by simply creating the links and making them go to pages that will be the names that you'll give the pages when you make them. So I'll show you what I mean. If we go in here into our split view, we see the page up there, the visual display of the page, and the code back here. There's actually two sets of links that we have to consider. One is the navigation bar, which we see in the desktop and the tablet view. And the other is the hamburger, which we see in the, see if I go to the live view here. Right, so that's a menu. Looks like one of our little links got a little busted up here. So I'll take a look at that right now. That's something you want to fix whenever you can. Yeah, you can see there's an extra bit of code right there on the about. And so if we, and I've noticed one thing about my version of Dreamweaver here, which is it's not refreshing properly. So it's kind of a pain, but I literally have to reopen my pages to see them again. So forgive me for that. But if we go back here in the live view, you can see that that's fixed. So anyway, there's two sets of menus. There's this one here, which is at the top of your page. And then there is the navigation menu, which if you just scroll down a little bit, it's the same set of links, right? But right now, those words are not linked to anything. So we have to link them to what the pages are going to be called. And then be sure when we make the pages, we name them exactly the same thing, including using all lowercase letters and no spaces. Otherwise, the links won't work because they have to be named exactly the same. The links have to be called exactly what the pages are called. So what we're going to do, we're going to start here with making the links for the hamburger. So those are these. And actually, the link part of it is already in here. To make a word a link, you need two pieces of information, two tags. One is an A tag, and that's this tag right here. And what it does is it starts with the angle bracket, and then it has the letter A, which means link. And then href means what is it referencing? In other words, what is the link? And then equals, and then there's quote signs. Well, right now there's a pound sign in there, which is a placeholder. So what you do is you just erase the pound sign, and you type in the name of the home page. And that's always going to be index.html. Now then, after the page that you want to link, the name, there is an end link tag, and so that's angle bracket /A and then end angle bracket. So it takes those two tags to make something a link. So we can do the same thing for all of the other pages in here. So gallery is going to be gallery HTML. Services is going to be services.html. About, and it makes sense to name these whatever the most common sense name is, because it'll be easier for you to remember them, to link to them, and also easier for other people to work on the website once you're done. Okay, so we've typed in all the names there of the pages, and we basically have this part done. Now, down here, we have to do the same thing, except down here we don't actually have the links themselves. So I'm just going to cut and paste them. So I'm going to copy from, I should say copy and paste, not cut and paste. But I'm going to copy this first link for contact here, and I'm going to put it down here in front of contact. And then I'm going to be sure and copy the A link and put that at the end of contact. Now that A link, the end A link is going to be the same for all of these. So I'm just going to save myself some time and paste the A link in at the end of each of these words. So that's all done. Now I'm just going to go back up here and go to my next link, which is the about, and I'm going to put that right before the word about. I'll scroll down a little bit here. In fact, I'll scroll up so we have some more screen there to look at. Copy the services link. And it doesn't matter what order you do these in. You could start from the top and go down, or start in the middle, whatever. I just happen to start at the bottom. Now, you can tell right here that I made a mistake. You see how this is green, this A, and this is blue, and this is black? Well, what happened was I missed the beginning angle bracket here, and so this is not color coded correctly, and these little mistakes are what will screw you up and make things not work. So I'm just going to go ahead and manually type in the angle bracket there, and now you see that turns green and that turns blue. So you do have to be extremely careful and only get all the tag items and everything that you want to get, because if you don't, you're going to have errors and you're not going to know what they are, and that's going to be a big pain. So I'm trying very hard to be careful here. It's tough because I'm on a laptop and it just doesn't want to cooperate. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to type the damn thing in. Okay, looks like we got it right there, so I'm going to copy that and paste it in. Okay, so now I'm going to save this page. So now I have all, my big navigation linked, which is, scroll down a little bit. My main navigation, which is this right here, is all linked. And then that's this section right here. And then the hamburger right here, that's all linked, and that's these little guys right here. Okay, good, good. So I'm done with my index page. I'm done with the updates that I wanted to do to that. Now, the next step in this process is saving these pages and giving them the same names as you have here, so that you can use them as templates. Or you can use this as a template to make all your other pages. Well, this page is the index page, so you would just save it as index.html. Now, I've already gone ahead and made a set of pages that are already working. So normally I would go file, save as index.html, but I'm not going to save it as that because I don't want to overwrite the work that I already did. So instead, I'll save all these as like index 2, gallery 2, services 2, about 2, and contact 2. Now you guys will save them as index, gallery, services, about, and contact. But let me just go ahead and do this the way I'm going to do it as a demo. So I'm going to call this one index 2. You guys will call yours index, and just hit save. Right now, then the next step in this process would be that you want to take this index page and you want to save it as your gallery page, whatever the next page is. So you'd simply go File, Save As, and you would call it gallery.html. Now once again, I'm going to put a 2 on the end, but you would just call yours gallery. Okay. Then we're going to go to the next page, which is services, and we're going to save it as that. So you would call yours services. I'm going to call mine services 2. Then you would save an about page. So I'm going to call mine about 2. You'll call yours about. And finally, a contact page. Now, do you have to save these exact pages with these exact names? Well, when you first set up your navigation bar, you can have whatever 5 links you want. The first one should be home. But whatever links you have in there, yes, you should go ahead and link to those exact names here. Do you have to use gallery, services, about, and contact? No, you can use whatever you want in your navigation bar. Just make sure that whatever you use there is the same here and is the same here, and that you link to the names of those pages. Okay, so now we're good to go. We have our navigation linked, and we've made 5 pages that we can use to make our website. The first page is done, which is our index page, so we won't really worry about that. We just have to basically reformat this center area for the other pages and put new content in. Now, let's talk about what is going to change and what's not going to change. The logo won't change, which is the header section. The navigation won't change, and the footer won't change. So all that's going to change is this content in the center. If you recall, we have 3 divs here, so we have 3 sections. Now, you could, on your new pages here that you're making, gallery, services, about, and contact, you could delete one of these columns and just have 2 columns, or you could take 1 column and put it in the center, or you could have 3, whatever you want to do. Okay, so we'll get to that in just a second. Now, before we do that, one of the things you may have noticed, because I noticed this when I first made my template pages, is as soon as you make it, the links here in your navigation bar, they may no longer be white, they may be blue, and they may have underlines under them. And that's what happened to me the first time that I did this, and I made a correction for it, and so I want to show you what that is. If we go and we look at our split view here, and we come down to the navigation items, which are this, make up this menu bar here, we'll see that they have a class of menu item. Okay, and for some bizarre reason, this menu item class is working on the home page, but as soon as you make the other pages, it tends to turn these blue and put an underline link in. And so what I figured out that was when I made this style originally, these weren't linked to anything. So the second you link them, what happens is whatever the default link style is for the website comes into play. For example, if we go to our boilerplate.css page and we come in here, let me see if I can find the link tags. Yeah, right here. See, it says links and it says A and it says color 00E. So that's the blue, and then it's going to be underlined. So in other words, whenever you make a link, it's going to automatically turn blue and get underlined. So, as soon as we did that on this page, as soon as we made these links, they got blue and got underlined on the other pages. So what I figured we had to do was make a new style on our style sheet, which was not just menu item, we already have that, but menu item space A, and A refers to the fact that it's now a link. Okay, so if we go to our styles.css page, and I'm going to go to the code view here, and let's see, let's go to right here. We're going to scroll up, and we already have the menu item in there because we made that last time, I believe. And so this is the menu item. It shows what the width is and so on and so forth, right? But what we didn't have was this style here, which was menu item A. So this is a style that I just made, and I made it very simply. I'll show you how to make it. What you do is go into your style sheet. I believe right now we're down here in the desktop layout. And you're only going to have to do this in the desktop layout and the tablet view because, of course, in the cell phone view, the mobile view, you don't see this wide navigation menu. You only see the hamburger. But anyway, if you go to your desktop layout, find this area here called menu item and highlight the whole style. Then go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to pretend mine's not here right now so that I can show you how you do this from scratch. You just paste it on underneath, okay? Then you click after the word menu item, hit your space bar, and put the letter A. So that means if it's a menu item and it's a link. Now we also have to make, I believe, at least one other change here. Notice that there is, we have to make 2 changes actually. Notice that there's something called text declaration none in this one that I already created, but there's not one up here or here. So what you have to do, you can go down here under, right under background red, click at the end of that, hit your return key, and then type text dash decoration :none semicolon. Now what that means, a text decoration is something you add to text, and that's the underline. We want to get rid of that. So when you do that, that'll get rid of the underline. Now the other thing you need to do is you need to add this line here, because another bizarre thing that happens, or it happened to me at least, was that the spacing on the left side of the navigation bar got all screwed up. So I'm just adding a little margin here, margin left 30%. So click at the end of the text decoration line, hit enter, do margin dash left :30% semicolon. Okay, and that's it. So what you've done is you've copied and pasted dot menu item, that's a class. You've added the a space, and then a at the end of that. You added text decoration none, and you added margin left 30%. And you ended all your lines with semicolons, right? Now since these two are identical, I can delete one of them, but that's exactly what I did. And when you do that and save it and go back and look at your menu, it should look good. Now this is just the desktop view. Now you can copy this menu item A that you just did, and we have to also configure this inside of the tablet view. So if we go here to the tablet view, you could just paste this right underneath the existing menu item. Now when you do that, there's only one thing that changes here though. Notice that you have to go in after you paste it in, and you have to change your margin left to 20% instead of 30%. And the reason for that is that when you look at the desktop view, your spacing is a little different. There's a little more space here in the desktop view than there is in the tablet view. So you have to have 30%, which is more space in order to make that look right. And then in the tablet view, you got to have 20%. So once again, you can cut and paste that new style we made from the desktop view right here under menu item. Go ahead and do that, but then come down here to this line margin left and make it 20%. Now when you save that, you'll be good to go, and that will solve the problem about your navigation bar being blue, the links being blue and being underlined. That should solve that. Okay, so we got that problem worked out. Now let's talk about, we'll go back to our desktop view because that's a great way to work. Let's talk about how we're going to change this information in here. So the key to changing this is that, we have these, let me go back to my index page here. Okay, so this is my index page. So the trick is that each one of these columns, and we're dealing with 3 right now, has a name, a div name, name for the little box that it's in, which is a div. But those names are unique to the page, or should be unique to the page that they're on. Because if you do something different with them on a different page, it's going to screw up whatever's on this page. Let me give you an example. So this section over here on the index page, if I click in here in this div, you can see this div is called column 1, right? Well, column 1 is, about 33% wide. It's about a third of the width of the page. And, it's got certain content in it. Well, because I made all of these pages from that one main page, what that means is if I go to the gallery page and I click in here, this is also called column 1. So, in other words, every one of these pages here that we made has a column 1, a column 2, and a column 3. Now just imagine if I deleted these other 2 columns and grabbed the edge of column 1 and dragged it over so it was 2 columns wide, it would change that column on every one of these pages. And that's not what we want. We want the columns all to have unique names so that we can give them individual styles so that they don't mess up all the other pages that have the same names, right? So for example, on the index page, we can leave everything as column 1, column 2, and column 3, right? But on the next page, which might be the gallery page, we would probably want to update the names for these. Now, like I said, I've already made sample pages, so I'm going to put a 2 at the end of everything because I don't want to overwrite my existing, but you guys don't have to use the 2. So for example, I've come up with a little system here that I'll use. So for column 1, um, in the index page, I'm, that's just column 1. In the gallery page, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to column 1G, and G stands for gallery. Okay, and then I'm going to scroll down a little bit my code here, and I'm going to name this second column here, which is this one right here. I'm going to name that column 2G. Okay, and I'm going to name this one column 3G. Okay, so now I have 3 columns here that all have different names, and they can, different content can be put in there, and they can have different styles applied to them, right? So let me go ahead and show you what I did with my new gallery page. So if I go File, Open, or Open Recent, and let's see, so I've got a page called gallery.html. Okay, so here's what I did with my new gallery page. So basically what I did, you can see if we go down here, I named this first div column 1G. Let me go up to where I can click on it. There it is. Column 1G, you can see that. This one I named column 2G, and this one I named column 3G. Trying to click right on it, it's a little difficult. There it is, column 3G. Now then, up at the top, I had these H1 tags, right? And I simply went in there to where the H1 tags, and I highlighted whatever text was in there and renamed it drawing, painting, and sculpture. Then I took some images off of the internet and saved them into my images folder. So for example, if I go to my desktop here, my folder where I'm doing all this is called Greg's website. And inside the images folder for that website, I downloaded some images. In fact, I'll go ahead and open this up in such a way that you can see it. So I downloaded some images from the internet, just random images off of freeimages.com. So they're copyright free. So I just got this fish, and I got these hands, and this painting, and this sculpture guy, right? So then where I had a picture of a dog here, I changed it to be a picture of the fish. So I named my fish drawing.jpg, I named my painting painting.jpg, and I named my sculpture sculpture.jpg. I did that right here when I downloaded them. So sculpture, painting, and drawing. So I gave them those names and saved them in my images folder. Now then, you might be wondering, well, how did you change, your existing page, which is this page, to look like that? Well, let's find out, right? I'm going to go in here because I noticed something. These columns now have exactly the same name as, let's see, these column 1G, column 2G, and column 3G. And I don't want to screw these up because this is my example. So I'm just going to, just so I don't screw myself up, I'm going to name this column 1GA, column 2GA, column 3GA. Once again, you don't have to do this. This is just so I don't get hosed here. Now, because this is a new version, a buggy version of Dreamweaver, the CC 2014, after I make changes, you won't see them immediately. I'm gonna have to save my page and reopen it. Kind of sucks, but it's just what we're dealing with here. So let's make the changes. So in this first column, we've got the H1 tag, which is this bad boy right here, right? And it says dog eats basketball. Well, so I'm just going to highlight that, and I'm going to call that drawing. Like I said, you won't see it update here. You would most likely on your website that you're working on. So now I'm going to go in here and clear out all this text because I don't need it. Now, in addition, it says that the image it's showing is called doggy.jpg. Well, I don't want it to be doggy anymore. I want it to be drawing.jpg. That's what I called my other drawing. In addition, I don't want it to float left. I don't want it to be just a little image that sits there. I want it to span the entire column. So instead of the class float left, I'm going to use a class that we created before, which is called image center with a capital C and no space between it. And what that'll do is it'll pop the fish in there, and then it'll make it go all the way across the column. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for these other things. For this, oops, I ruined your new carpet. I'll find the H1 tag for that and highlight it. And I'm going to put in the word painting. For the image that's in there, looks like it already has the class of image center, and this one in the center was already called paint, but my new image is called painting, so I'm going to put that in. And then over here, the trucks and ducks, I'm going to copy that or highlight that, rename it sculpture. For the image, instead of the truck image, I'm going to type in sculpture, which is what I named sculpture. Gotta do some spelling there. And then this duck image I don't need anymore at all, so I'm simply going to highlight that and get rid of it. Oops. Well, hopefully. Let's just go, you gotta make noises or else it won't work. Okay, good, gone. All right, so now I've made those changes. You haven't seen them update yet, but I'll go ahead and save them. And then this is just the way my weirdo machine works. I just simply have to open it up again. And oops, things went to heck. Look at that. Everything went south on me. Now let's see why that is. Okay, I think I know why that is. Yeah, I do know why that is. Okay, so this is the second part of what you have to do. So we've made the changes here on the page. We've given them some new names, right? So these columns, we've given them new names so that they can be unique. So in my case, I named it column 1 GA, column 2 GA, and column 3 GA. Well, the reason that everything got hosed was because in our style sheet, there is no style for column 1 GA because we haven't created it yet. So you have to do it in both places. You have to create your column names over here, and then you have to go into your style sheet and you have to make the columns exist over there with whatever styles you want. Now the way we're going to do this is, you remember these were originally called column 1, column 2, and column 3. We're simply going to go in, copy the styles that are in the style sheet for columns 1, 2, and 3, and then paste them back in, but rename them column 1GA, 2GA, and 3GA, whatever you name yours, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start by going to my style sheet, and I'll go to the code view so we can just see this. And I'll start by going all the way down to the mobile view, which is all the way up at the top. And I'll look down here for something called column 1. And let's see. Now, what happened was when I was working on my styles, which are unique to me, I actually named my index page styles with an I on the end of them. So what was normally column 1, column 2, and column 3 is now column 1I, column 2I, and column 3I. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to copy these three. Yours should be named just columns 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to go underneath, make some space, and I'm going to paste these in right underneath that. Once again, we're in the mobile style sheet right here. Now, I'm going to rename these. So this is going to be column 2GA. This is column 3GA, and this is let's see. Sorry, this one down here I believe is column 1GA, 3GA, and 2GA. Okay, so with any luck, that would be the solution for mobile. So let's see. And sure enough, mobile, we've got all three of them going all the way across, right? Now remember, there's three different sections in your style sheet. There's a mobile, a tablet, and a desktop. So we have to go and we have to make accommodations for those other sections too. So we'll go back to the style sheet and we'll go now to the tablet section, and we'll take a look at this on a tablet view. Okay, so from a tablet view, it's inheriting the styles from the mobile view, and it actually looks okay. I don't really have a big problem with it. That's probably what it's going to do, is stack up like that. It's not, we certainly don't want them to be in three skinny little columns here, so it looks kind of just like the mobile view, so we'll be happy with that. Now the desktop view we know is screwed up, so we'll go there. The desktop view has them, all the way across because it's inheriting the styles from the mobile, but we definitely don't want that. We definitely want three columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the code view here. We're going to go to the desktop view, and we're going to find our styles once again for the columns, in my case, column 1i, 2i, and 3i, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to copy those three styles in my desktop view. And you can see that these are the ones that are about 33%, in the width, which is a third of the page, and then there's a little bit of a margin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply paste these underneath my existing ones, okay? And so then I'm going to rename them, whatever my naming convention is. So it's column 1 GA. So this one's going to be column 2 GA. And this one column 3 GA. Now if we save that, go back to our source code and to the split screen view, and here you go. Here is our desktop view, and now everything is in lovely little columns there. Okay, so it's this principle that we're going to apply to all the pages, right? Now whenever you have a page with three columns, that makes it pretty easy. You can just rename your columns in the page itself, and then go ahead and copy and paste the column styles here on the style sheet and just rename them like I did. If you're going to make something a little different, like two columns or maybe one column going all the way across, you can do the same thing. You can just rename the column, and then instead of doing it three times in the style sheet, instead of having three columns to paste in here, you're just going to have the one. So let's look at an example of that. So what I'm going to do, since I'm done with a couple pages here, I'm going to just close those off to get them off my screen here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this gallery page, or I'm going to think about closing it. Or I want to close it, but my Macintosh is going to think about closing it, and then maybe close it, or maybe go out for a bite to eat. Oh, of course, it just quit. So, yeah, of course. Well, and this shows you that this creepy latest version of Dreamweaver is buggy and wrong. So let's go ahead and open up. So we finished the gallery page. We finished the index page. So let's open services, the page which is going to be our services page. Let's open the page which is going to be our contact page. And let's open the page which is going to be our about page. And we'll go ahead and start on our about page. So on the about page, we want to rename this column. My idea for my about page is that I want it to be just one column, right? So I can rename this column, or I could delete all three and then just put in a new column there altogether. But let's try the idea of renaming columns. So we're going to click on this first one. It's column 1I, and I'm simply going to name it column 1A2. Okay, and these other two columns, the ones that have the other things in it, I'm just literally going to get rid of those because I don't want them at all. So I'm going to go here to where my column 2 starts, to the div. I'm going to come all the way down, see column 3, and where that ends, I'm going to hold down my shift key and click at the end of that div for column 3, and I'm just going to hit delete. Now, for some reason, it's working right now, but don't trust in that because it's buggy, so it probably won't work later. Anyway, so this automatically made just one giant div here for me, which is great. Instead of dog eats basketball, I can change this to be, about us. Wow, it's updating. It's like actually working. It's kind of creepy. Okay. And then let's say I want to replace this picture here. Well, so one of the images that I downloaded was this picture of hands from freeimages.com. And let's say that I want to put that in there. Well, I can simply go to where the link is, and instead of doggy, I can change that to be hands. And now we see, this is my about page, right? Now, I don't have enough text in there because it's not really looking very good. It's not going down to the bottom of where the hands are. So let me put some more in there. Let me put a little bit more in. Okay, so there we go. And maybe we don't want this last line here. So this venomous whatever. Let's see, junk text, vel, da 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 da. Maybe I think if I go here and put a period in, yeah, there we go. So now our about page looks, semi-decent. And please don't turn in a website that has this lorem ipsum text on it. I'm using it as an example, but I want you to put some real text in there. Just write something. It's important that you get those chops, those skills, because you will oftentimes have to write content for pages for clients. It's not that uncommon. So, okay, so there's our About Us too, right? So we can save that and be done with the About To page and close that off. Now, let's go over here to the Services page. And, well, actually, I'm going to do the Contact page first because the Contact page is a little unusual. And after I made the Contact page, I used that as a template for the Services page. So let me show you what's going on there. So once again, with the Contact page, we're going to give a new name to our div. We're going to make the Contact page just have one column, but this is going to be unusual in that it's going to be in the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to rename the first column here. So we're going to call it column 1 C2. Okay, so that's for Contact page 2, right? Now then, we're going to go here and we're going to do the same thing that we did on the other page. We're going to delete all the information for columns 2 and 3 so that this is just wide like that. Then we're also going to go in here and we're going to change the headline, the H1 tag, to Contact Us. Okay, I really don't want an image in here and I don't want any text in here, so I'm literally going to get rid of all this junk. Okay, and so now I'll just put the word text in here so you can see we do have just one column and it has this text in here. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a contact form in here, a form that you can use that will actually work when you put this on the internet. It won't work in Dreamweaver, but when we put it on the internet, it will work. Actually, I take that back. If you look at it, if you preview it in the browser, after you put it in here, the code will actually work and you can send yourself an email message. But let's see how this is going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out to a website and we're going to use a website that is called Foxy Forms, F-O-X-Y, let's see, foxyform.com. And this is a website that just will let you spit out the code to make a contact form. So all you do is you go here to Foxy Form, you click off all the things you want on all the text boxes that you want on your form, whether they're required or not. It's going to give you a white background, black text with Arial font. And then you put in your email address here, or you can put it in a junk email address if you want, if you don't want them to send you anything. But this is where your email is going to go. So if you want to test it out, put in an email address you can check. And then finally, you click on this I'm Not a Robot, which is a CAPTCHA. Let's see. So this says 112. And so it proved that I'm not a robot, right? Okay, so now we simply go down here. We hit create formular, and it gives you this block of code. So you click in here and you copy it, and then you go back to Dreamweaver, and right here where I have this word text, you paste it in. Now, you're not supposed to change this code at all because it's got JavaScript and everything in it, so you can just leave it like that. But look, you can see that it has already made, the form with where you put your name, your email address that's required, subject the message. It's got a CAPTCHA, and then you click that, and it sends it, and it works. It's got a little Foxy form advertisement down there too. Okay, so this worked, and it worked great, but it's kind of weird that it's over here on the side, and it'd be kind of cool if it was in the middle, right? But you have to be careful when you put things in the middle, because remember, there's three different layouts here. There's the desktop layout, and then there's the tablet layout, and then there is the mobile layout. And of course, if you try to sort of center this, you can see already that it's got three completely different places that it ends up, in all three of these layouts. So you're going to have to use a little bit of trickery here to get this thing to work, okay? And what that means is you're going to have to take this div, and you're going to have to make it so that it's in the center, and then you're going to have to make it so that it sort of self-adjusts when it gets down to the tablet and mobile views so that it will look the way that it's supposed to. Now, in order to show you how this should look and how it works and what the code is, I'm going to go ahead and open up a contact page that I already made. So we're going to open this up. We're going to say open, and we're going to open this page called contact.html. Now, if you look at this existing page here, you can see that we have, sure enough, we have one div, but it spans 100% of the width, and this is not in the center. So what we would have to do is we would have to make a div which was maybe only about a third of the width, and then that hung out in the center. So let's look at what this contact page I already made looks like and how we got there. So we'll hit open. Okay, and so it's loading up the form, and so look at this. This is kind of hanging out pretty much, it's not exact, but it's kind of in the center of the page, right? In addition, if we go to the tablet view, it's kind of hanging out in the center there, and kind of hanging out in the center in the mobile view too. So let's look at what the trick is that we did here. So we'll go here and we'll click on, we'll try and click on this div here with no luck whatsoever. So we'll go into our code here to see what the heck we called this container here in the center. Well, I made this previously, so I named it column 1C, which stands for the contact page. And I put in all the content just like we did. However, the difference is that then I went and I made some styles on my style sheet here. I made 3 different styles, one for the desktop, one for the tablet, one for the mobile, that would adjust the size, the width of this, and the positioning of it in each of the 3 layouts. So for example, if we go to our style sheet now, we're going to look for column 1C. And we're going to start out with the desktop view here, so which is right at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down until I see it, and of course it's hiding. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to highlight it here so it's easy for you to see. So what I did was I put in a style # column 1C. I gave it a width of 40%. So in other words, I want it to be a little less than half the width of the page. And I gave it a margin of 30% on either side. So 30 over here plus 30 over here is 60%, and the 40, that makes 100%. So you can see that there's a lot of space on either side. Background none. The reason I have that in there at all was because, as you know, I like to work with color as a guide. So I would put in a color there which would show me exactly where it was, and then I would take that out by putting in none. So this is the style. You just have to go ahead and, whatever you named your column, go ahead and make a style like that. Type in this stuff exactly like this. You can leave off the background none. And then one other thing I want to point out to you is, and this is just if you want to center a column like this, I put exclamation point important after these 2 styles. Now the reason I did that was because we're in the desktop view. And in this kind of mobile fluid layout, all the styles come from the mobile view. The mobile view is sort of like the king or queen style, and everything cascades down from that. So if your mobile style is going to be different from your desktop style, you set the mobile style, and then you set your desktop style to be different, but you have to put in # important, which means that this is going to be its own unique style, which is going to overwrite the mobile style. So that's what we got there. So you can see that and how that works right there in the center. Now, once you've got it, you can copy it, and then you can go down to your tablet view, and we're going to paste it. You could paste it in, and then we're just going to change these numbers a little bit to accommodate the smaller view. So I'm just going to go up here to my tablet section, which is right above that. I'm going to look around for my column 1C, and here it is. And you can just go ahead and paste your style in here, and then just make this change. Instead of a width of 40%, make it a width of 50%, and instead of a margin of 30, make it a margin of 25. And what that does is it just adjusts that center column so that it hangs out more in the center when it's tablet view, right? Now then, same principle applies. You can copy that, go down to your mobile view, and let's find this column 1C. Here it is, right? Now this one we really had to crunch it in there because if you see in your mobile view, it's quite small, but this form is a fixed width, so you have to use up most of the column for the form and then just have very little space on either side. So when you paste it in here, change your width to 84%, your margin 0.8%, so 8% on either side. That 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 84 is 100%. And then you should be good to go. That will be your contact page. Now, the final page that we made, I'm going to go ahead and close these contact pages up. But the final page that we made, or that I made, was the services page. And I told you just a second ago that I based the services page on the contact page because I wanted basically to have just a column in the center and then have just my services listed there, right? So in order to do that, I'm probably going to have to make a new template for services, but I'm going to have to use my contact page to make that template. So how will we do that? Well, let's close this services page here because we don't need it anymore. It's going to get overwritten. So let's open our contact page. Let's assume that you made this contact page and you finished it, and it looks good. It looks like this, right? Well, now let's say that you wanted to make a services page that looked a lot like this. Well, you could simply go File, Save As, and you would save it as services.html, and you would overwrite the existing one. Now, I'm going to call mine services 2, excuse me, because, like I said, I already have a services page that I don't want to overwrite. So I'm going to hit Save. It's going to say it already exists. You want to replace it? I'm going to say yes, I want to replace it. Okay, good. Now, once again, though, we want to change the name of this column because we're going to make some changes here. They're going to be specific to our services page. So let's start out with changing the column name. So it's column 1C, so I'm going to call it column 1S2. And now whatever changes I make won't affect the column that we have for the contact page. Then I'm going to go up here and make some of these changes that you would assume we would make. So where it says contact us in the H1, I'm just going to change that to services, right? Oh, there it goes, it changed. Then all of this stuff which is in here, which is the script, starting right here with this A tag and the Foxy form, and going all the way down here to this end script tag, I'm going to hold down my Shift key, and I'm going to highlight all that junk in there, and I'm simply going to delete it, and I'll write the word text in there again so we can see what's what, right? And if I update this, you can see that the Foxy form is gone, and there's just the word text in there where the text is going to go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my services in here so I could create an unordered list. I would do that by typing UL and then tag /UL, and that's going to make an unordered list, which means a list without the 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to type li, which is list item. I'm going to type my item, and I'm going to type /li. So that shows you my first service I'm going to provide. I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and go down to the next line and paste it in again. But this time, I'll type in the word illustration, and so on and so forth, right? And so you could keep going, and you could add all of your little services, not little, but the services you provide here. Now, when you're done, you've got that, but it looks sort of weird that it's way over here. And so, in other words, what we have lost is we've lost that formatting that we had before on the contact page. It's not staying in this nice little column in the center because we renamed this column to 1S2, so it's no longer using the column 1C style. So what that means is we simply have to go in, copy the column 1C styles, paste them back in, and rename them column 1S2, and then we'll be golden, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to our style sheet. I'll go ahead and start, go to my code view here, and I'll start at the bottom. So once again, I'll look for that column 1C, and I know that that happens to be up here at the top, right? And what you would do is you would simply copy it, paste it in underneath, and in my case, I'm going to call it column 1S2, right? Notice that it has exactly the same code as this guy up here. It's just got a different column name. So let's go back to the source code and look at the split view. And sure enough, these things are now hanging out in the center, right? So we would do the same thing for the other two sections. So we would go up here. Here's column 1C in the tablet view. So we would paste it underneath. Simply change it to column 1 S2, and then go look at the tablet view by clicking here on this tablet icon. So that looks good. And then finally, last but not least, we're going to go all the way up here to our mobile view and copy that. Be really careful when you're highlighting and copying and pasting, because once again, if you cut something out accidentally or add something in, it could screw up your whole site. Okay, so now we go back to the source code, we go into split view, and finally we go to mobile, and you can see that that looks pretty good. Now, that's the services page I made right here. Let me just show you the one that I made earlier. It looks virtually identical. The only difference is I've got a few more services in there. So we'll go down here to services.html, open it up, and you can see that I've just added a few more services, and it looks a little better with some more services in there. Okay, now that's pretty much it for what I want you guys to do this week is work on adding content in there. You don't have to get every bit of it done this week because you have a couple weeks left for school, but you do want to get this finished off because we're going to, I'm going to show you how to upload these next week, and then the final day of class we're going to look at them on the internet on mobile devices. So one last thing I wanted to mention to you was people often ask me how to change the colors in this drop-down menu for the hamburger and where that's located. Well, it's actually located here in responsive-nav.css. If you click on that and you just scroll down, it's not very far. Right here it's on line 31 for me. This is the background color there. If I'm going to change this to black, and you can see that's what controls that background color right there. I'll undo it right now. But people often have a hard time finding that because it's over here in this responsive nav CSS where you rarely go. We're generally down here in styles. Sometimes if it's a general style, it's a boilerplate. Okay, so and when you're all done, you can test it out You know, you can look at it in Chrome, um, and you know, clicking on these links should take you to the various pages of your website. May take a second for the Foxy form to load up there, right? And then if you want to see what the mobile view looks like, you can squeeze this thing down, your browser down until it gets mobile sized, and then, you know, once again, check out the links to make sure that they all work. And you absolutely should do this. Any website that you make, you're going to want to make sure that you check out all the links and that everything works properly, because it's important. And you know, you don't want to send this to a client and have them test it out and not have it work, or you know, potentially even worse, a customer. Okay, so that's our video for today. Please work on, you know, making your all your navigation linked, including the drop-down menu. Then use your homepage here as a template to make all these other pages. Make sure you rename the columns both on the web pages themselves and in the style sheet so you can add unique styles to them. Then put in some content, some images and text, whatever you want, some copyright-free stuff you get from the web. Be sure and write some real text here. You know, don't use this Lorem Ipsum junk. And if you want to, you can make unique pages by, you know, you can create a unique page like this one column page and use that as a template to make other pages too. So really, you know, you have one column, you could do 2 columns or 3 columns, whatever combinations you want on these individual pages. And then when you're all done, make sure and save everything. Remember that you're going to need to download your images that you're going to use on these pages into your images folder inside your web folder so that you can access them easily. And that's pretty much it. All right, thank you very much.